learning.
Calling all you 11 to 12-year-olds, my name is Kel Spellman. So good to be with you. Welcome along to Bitesize Daily. It's Study Tips Tuesday, and have we got a show in store for you? We have top teachers, excellent experts, and cool celebs joining us. All right, guys, I am really loving the enthusiasm, but seriously, we've got a show to do. Here is what's coming up. YouTuber Jack Edwards gives his top tips on how to make the most of your study time. We're serving up tasty nuggets of bite-sized biology, and we're away with the fairies in English with Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream. We put your globe-trotting skills to the test in geography, plus we've got another big read from one of the Bard's best.
Hello, my name is Lucy Allenson, and today I'm going to be reading Puck from Midsummer Night's Dream, so don't miss it.
It's Study Tips Tuesday, and as always, we are here to help make life easier with today's top tipster, Jack Edwards. Now, he knows all about the challenges of managing his own time as a YouTuber and uni student who has just finished his final exams. Talk about a work overload. It's over to you, Jack.
You can actually train yourself to be more productive by practicing different things, giving things a go, rather than just ruling something out and going, oh, that will never work for me. Maybe it actually will. One thing I always say is work smart, not hard. So I think you don't always need to be labouring over a textbook for hours and hours and hours when maybe making flashcards for 15 minutes will make things sit in your brain a little better, rather than just counting down the hours and thinking, OK, I've been in the library for 8 hours, therefore I will pass this module. Some people will spend an hour doing really efficient work and do just as well.
Yeah, I like that. I like any excuse to work for an hour and not for 8 hours. That sounds good to me.
Welcome back to the wonderful world of biology with Miss Army. What's on the menu today, Miss?
Today, Kel, we're looking at nutrition and digestion, specifically enzymes.
Ooh, sounds nutritious, but could you tell me what's an enzyme?
Of course, an enzyme is a biological molecule that acts as a catalyst to speed up chemical reactions in cells. When a cell needs to get something done, it almost always uses an enzyme. And you've got them everywhere. Your stomach, your small intestine, pancreas, and even in your mouth.
My mouth? Well, the only thing in my mouth is my tongue and teeth.
That's not true. There's something else. Shall I give you a clue?
Miss, don't make me laugh, because if you want to take me on a water fight, you need one of these.
No, Kel, water is the clue. What's the watery substance in your mouth?
Oh, saliva?
Exactly. Saliva is 99% water, but the other 1% contains an enzyme called amylase, which is the first enzyme your food comes into contact with to start breaking it down for digestion.
Oh, wow, now that's whet my appetite. Get it? Wet? That's... Oh, it's always lost on you. Just let's find out some more.
Enzymes of the digestive system. 3 key types of enzymes in different parts of our digestive system help break down the food to provide the energy our body needs to grow and repair. They are called carbohydrate enzymes, protease enzymes, and lipase enzymes. Carbohydrates found in starchy and sugary foods are an important source of energy in a healthy diet. When you chew carbohydrate-rich foods, carbohydrate enzymes, such as amylase in your saliva, break down starch into sugar to give us the energy we need. Then, protease enzymes in your stomach break down the proteins that will build new cells and repair damaged tissue. Stomach acid helps protease enzymes to destroy harmful microorganisms that may be present in the food. Fats and oils or lipids provide insulation and an energy store for our bodies. Helped by bile from the liver, lipase enzymes break down the lipids into fatty acids and glycerol, so they can be stored.
Whoa, OK, so our bodies are constantly working without us even knowing about it. That's amazing.
That, Kel, is the wonder of the human body.
And it's pretty helpful that each of the 3 main types of enzymes in the digestive system are named after the food group they help break down.
Yes, so as we just saw, lipids such as fats and oils are broken down by lipase enzymes.
Proteins, like meat or pulses, are broken down by protease enzymes.
And carbohydrates, like bread, are broken down by carbohydrate enzymes. So are you ready to use your enzymes for the sake of science?
Well, I'm always looking for new skills for my CV.
Fab, you'll need that piece of bread just in front of you.
Oh, you mean my second breakfast?
Yes, we're going to conduct an experiment to prove what carbohydrate enzymes break carbohydrates down into. Bread contains starch, which is a carbohydrate, so please get munching.
Oh, don't have to ask me twice here. Oh,
Don't swallow it. Keep chewing.
uh-huh.
Yep, keep chewing. Anything happening?
Not very mushy.
Good, keep going.
Well, it's trying to go sweet. You know, like the bread's gone sweet.
Yes, carbohydrate enzymes break carbohydrates, in this case the starch, into sugar, which is why when you chew for a long time, the bread tastes sweet. And as we learnt before, the carbohydrate enzymes in saliva is called amylase.
This is definitely an experiment you can try at home, but Miss, why does everything we need to be broken down? I mean, what's the point?
Good question. We eat food to get the energy and nutrients that our bodies need. If we didn't have enzymes, the molecules of food would be too big to pass into our bloodstream and travel around the body to where they need to be.
So carbohydrates and protease and lipase, the three main types of digestive enzymes, are vital to make our bodies work.
You've got it.
Awesome. Well, that is some food for thought, hey? Cool. If you have a hunger to learn more about the digestive system or maybe a thirst for knowledge, head on over to the BBC Bitesize website where there's loads more information. Now, while I carry on experimenting breaking down carbohydrates, have a look at where to find all the different digestive enzymes in your body.
Right. We know which enzyme does the job and what job it does. But where do these enzymes come from in the first place?
We can see here that all three of these are produced in the pancreas, there, and the small intestine, there. But amylase is also produced in the salivary glands, and protease is also produced
In the stomach.
You've got it.
So what happens now?
Well, now that the food molecules are much smaller, they can be absorbed by the blood.
All this week, we are celebrating the literary genius that is William Shakespeare. A prolific wordsmith, Shakespeare is said to have contributed around 1,700 words to the English language, including my favourites, Hobnob, Moonbeam and Eyeball. Now, in today's Big Read, we're looking at an extract from one of his comedies, A Midsummer Night's Dream. Parts of the play are set in a forest outside Athens, home to a group of fairies ruled by King Oberon and Queen Titania. These cheeky fairies love to play tricks on humans and each other. Woe betide any humans entering the forest. In Act 2, Scene 1, the character of Puck is introduced to the audience as chief mischief maker, trickster and King Oberon's right-hand fairy. Reading today's extract is actor Lucy Ellison, who has played the role of Puck for the Royal Shakespeare Company, no less. Take it away, Lucy.
Thou speak'st aright. I am that merry wanderer of the night. I jest to Oberon and make him smile when I a fat and bean-fed horse beguile, neighing in likeness of a filly foal. And sometime lurk I in a gossip's bowl, in very likeness of a roasted crab. And when she drinks against her lips I bob, and on her withered dewlap pour the ale. The wisest aunt, telling the saddest tale, sometime for 3-foot stool mistaketh me. Then slip I from her bum, down topple she, and Taylor cries and falls into a cough, and then the whole choir hold their hips and laugh, and waxen in their mirth and knees, and swear a merrier hour was never wasted there. But room fairy, here comes Oberon.
Tell you what, that Puck is the right one. And joining me in the studio to talk about Midsummer Night's Dream is top English teacher, Miss Lonsdale. So, Miss, before we get on to the character of Puck, can you tell me why we study Shakespeare? I mean, what can we learn from a 400-year-old playwright?
Well, the answer's more than you think. Shakespeare writes about themes that are universal and timeless. Love, death, ambition, power, fate, free will. These are all themes that we can relate to and will experience in one way or another.
And his characters are pretty awesome as well.
Yeah, they certainly are. Shakespeare writes characters rich in personality traits, and we can relate to them because they're complicated just like us and feel the same emotions we do. Love, jealousy, grief, happiness.
So, talking about A Midsummer's Night Dream, Puck is one of the main characters. Could you tell me a little bit more, please?
Puck, also known as Robin Goodfellow, is King Oberon's go-to fairy. And as we can see from the extract, a mischievous character who's a bit of a show-off.
Ah, show-off. Not a quality I suffer from.
In this speech, Puck is bragging to one of Titania's fairies about playing tricks to impress Oberon and make him laugh.
Ah, I see. So Puck is Oberon's top fairy showing off to Titania's fairies, basically saying, I can do anything.
Yeah.
So what does Puck mean in this line when I a fat and bean-fed horse beguile, neighing in likeness of a filly foal?
Well, Puck is giving an example of the mischief that he's infamous for. So here, Puck describes how he amuses Oberon by tricking a horse into thinking he's a female foal that the other horse might want to chase.
Ah, I see. So Puck is very good at impersonations. That's quite interesting. What other things does this fairy do to make Oberon laugh?
Well, he hides at the bottom of an old woman's drink, disguised as an apple, and makes her spill her drink. And sometime lurk I in a gossip's bowl, in very likeness of a roasted crab. And when she drinks, against her lips I bob, and on her withered dewlap pour the ale.
So the roasted crab is a crab apple, not a crustacean.
Yes, that's right. And that's why Shakespeare says bob. Puck is pretending to be an apple bobbing around in a glass.
Well, I'm not surprised she spills a drink. And what's this about a 3-foot stool? Does Puck pretend to be a stool and then moves when the wise old woman goes to sit down?
Yes, that naughty fairy. Puck says, the wisest ant telling the saddest tale, sometime for 3-foot stool mistaketh me, then slip I from under her bum, down topples she.
Ah, so she falls on the floor. Do not try this at home.
Agreed.
Now, if you want to read more of A Midsummer's Night Dream, or any of Shakespeare's plays for that matter, there are lots of online libraries where you can find e-books or audiobooks. Check out BBC Bitesize Lessons if you'd like to learn more about his works, and have a listen to our school radio Shakespeare Retold. There, you will find brilliant retellings of his plays with a spin by famous authors. Now, if you'd like a bit more of Robin Goodfellow, Puck to you and me, then don't go anywhere, because me and Miss Lonsdale are going to delve deeper in English next. Gotta say, all this Shakespeare, it's making me feel a bit rough. A bit rough. A bit rough. Do you get it? It's a rough. I'm feeling a bit... Yeah? Tough crowd, fine. See how it... Cross that one off my stand-up routine. I'm only joking about Shakespeare, miss. I was just being a bit cheeky, you know, like Puck, because I can identify with that character, you see.
Well, that's really good, because I want to look at the character of Puck through the language and structure used by Shakespeare. We now know Puck's a fairy who wants to impress people and is a bit of a show-off. So how is this realised in the text?
Well, I've noticed that Puck says I a lot.
Quite right, yeah. Puck loves to talk about Puck. I jest to Oberon when I a fat. Look, I. Against her lips, I bob. The repetition of the personal pronoun I shows us that there's some serious bragging going on. Can you pick out some words that suggest Puck's playfulness?
Yes, how about merry, jest and smile?
Yeah, good. Merry is an adjective that means happy. Jest is a verb that means joke. And smile, well, we all know what that is. Shakespeare is building up our impression of Puck's character with the language that he chooses.
Puck also speaks in rhyme.
Yes, in rhyming couplets. They are 2 lines that rhyme. So can you give me a bit of a swaggering Puck and a couple of rhyming couplets, Kel?
Can I? I'll give it a go. Thou speakest aright. I am that merry wanderer of the night. I jest to Oberon and make him smile when I a fat and bean-fed horse beguile.
Fantastic.
Thank you. And do you know what? I really like it because there's a real rhythm to it.
Yeah, sometimes there's metre in poetry, which is a rhythmic structure to the lines. When you say Puck's lines, you can hear it. I jest to Oberon and make him smile when I a fat and bean-fed horse beguile. There's a playfulness in Puck's speech because of the poetry. Often Shakespeare uses rhyme to show that a character is otherworldly, like a fairy or a witch.
OK, gotta say, I feel like I've got to know Puck pretty well, thanks to you, Miss Lonsdale. Is it quiz time?
Certainly is. Let's see how much you've learned.
Come on.
So... Question 1, what's Puck's favourite subject?
Puck.
Correct. 2, what is rhyme?
Words that sound like each other.
Correct. 3rd, give me an example of a rhyming couplet which Puck says.
Ooh, some time for 3-foot stool mistaketh me, then slip I from her bum, down topple she.
Well done. You could definitely play puck.
I will take that, thank you, miss. Feel all very Shakespearean now. Now, if you want to learn more about A Midsummer Night's Dream, then head to the BBC Bitesize website. It is full of info about the play. And if you need help with English or any other subject, just search BBC Teacher Talks for advice from real teachers. On to our pick of the day, and it's geography. Now, Shakespeare said, all the world's a stage, but I've gone one better than the bard and found a book that contains the whole world. Here's my atlas. It's very much easier to carry this around than a stage, Mr. William Shakespeare, so thank you very much. In here, I can find the world's continents and oceans and use lines of latitude and longitude to guide me. I can pinpoint anywhere in the world. Lines of latitude go in an east to west direction, whereas lines of longitude run from the top of the Earth to the bottom. Now, don't get confused. These are imaginary lines that we have created. You've probably heard of one line of latitude, and that is the equator. It goes right around the middle of the Earth and is how we divide the northern and southern hemispheres. You can see it on the globe right about there. Now, there's loads of info on the BBC Bitesize website where you can even test your knowledge. Let's see what they've got.
When you need to find out exactly where you are on a map, you can use coordinates to pinpoint your location.
When we're out walking, we use different types of coordinates depending on the situation we're in. They're especially useful when there are few obvious features to help you locate a place. One set, called latitude and longitude, allows us to pinpoint exactly where we are anywhere in the world. Latitude indicates how far north or south you are. It's traditionally been measured in degrees, minutes and seconds, although decimals are sometimes used instead. The numbers are accompanied by either north or south, depending on where you are relative to the equator, which is at 0 degrees. Britain is north of the equator, between about 50 and 60 degrees. Longitude tells you your position relative to the prime meridian, which runs through Greenwich in London. For this measurement, again, degrees, minutes and seconds or decimals are used. And it's accompanied by east or west, depending on which side of the prime meridian you are. Combine the two, and you can pinpoint an exact location.
There are a few major latitude lines that you should know. Obviously, we have the equator, but we also have the tropics of Cancer and Capricorn, and then the Arctic and Antarctic circles. Why, you ask? Well, it's all to do with the Earth's tilt. The Tropic of Cancer is the most northerly line of latitude on Earth, where the sun can be seen directly overhead. The Tropic of Capricorn is the same, but in the south. Now, with the Arctic Circle at the top of the tilt of the Earth, it can have days of 24 hours of sunshine in summer, but then it also has days of 24 hours of darkness in the winter. The opposite is true for the Antarctic. I mean, could you imagine going to bed when the sun was up? They must have some great curtains. How about time travel? Now, if you were to cross one particular longitude line, called the International Date Line, at 180 degrees, you could walk into tomorrow quite literally. While you're at home, see if you can find a map and show off your impressive knowledge about longitude and latitude lines to your family. And, of course, the BBC Bitesize website has loads more info for all your geography needs. Friends, that's it for today. I know, but we will be back again tomorrow. Feel like I'm in a panto. Don't forget, if you want more helpings of Bitesize, it's just a click away. There are loads of videos and fun activities to give your schoolwork that bit of extra help. And finally, a song. No, I'm only kidding. We're going to end, though, with some wise words from our in-house doctor. Over to you, Doc.
Now, if you're feeling a bit sluggish, then exercise is a really good way to just build up your energy and make you feel motivated again. So whether or not that's an online PE class, going for a run around your local park, or some sit-ups in your bedroom, it doesn't really matter. Any little exercise that makes you feel more motivated, gives you more energy, will really help you right now. So give it a try.
Welcome, 12 to 13-year-olds, to Bitesize Daily. My name is Kel Spellman. So good to be with you, and I'm here to help you smash your schoolwork with a kapow, a kaplop, and a kachop. Few old-school superhero moves there. Don't mind that. OK, good job I didn't get my bodysuit out. Let's move on swiftly. Let's get stuck into some brain-boosting content made especially for you. It's Study Tips Tuesday, and kicking things off is YouTuber Jack Edwards with his top tips for maximising productivity from your bed. Biology is up next, and we'll be learning about photosynthesis. In English, we're going all Shakespeare on you, taking a look at the character Ariel. Thenceforth to geography and population and migration. And it's stormy weather in our Shakespearean big read.
Hi, my name's Jamie Wilkes, and today I'll be performing Some of the Tempest, so make sure you don't miss it.
It's Study Tips Tuesday, and today YouTuber Jack Edwards gives his top tips for getting enough sleep to keep you bright-eyed, bushy-tailed and on top of your studies. Over to you, Jack.
Something that I always neglect is sleeping. You actually forget how much you kind of re-energize yourself just from having a good sleep, a good night's sleep. And sometimes I think it's very easy to think, oh, I need to stay up late until I can finish getting this thing done. But actually, the later it gets, the more tired you get, the less productive you are. So you're putting in the hours and you feel like you're working hard, but actually you're not really doing much. And the rate of work goes rapidly down the later it gets. So sometimes you kind of need to think to yourself, would it be more beneficial to me to go to sleep now, wake up an hour earlier and restart this and, you know, with a fresh head and a bit more re-energized so that I can actually really get this done as efficiently as possible.
Friends, are you ready to be biologically challenged? I do hope so, because it's time for another biology class with the fantastic Miss Army.
Hello, thank you for the brilliant welcome.
Always, it's just what I do. Now, what are we investigating today, Miss Army?
Have you heard of photosynthesis?
Have I? Obviously, it's when you merge two selfies together, right, you know?
Wrong. It's when plants use light energy from the sun to produce glucose and oxygen from carbon dioxide and water. Today we're going to have a look at the structure of leaves and their role in photosynthesis.
I don't believe you.
Oh. That was pretty bad, even by your standards.
Brilliant, thanks.
The leaf is a major organ in plants in which photosynthesis occurs. Without photosynthesis, there'd be very little life on Earth, because when plants photosynthesize, they take in carbon dioxide and release oxygen as a byproduct.
I am liking plants a lot right now, so let's find out more on how the structures of leaves help plants to photosynthesize.
Photosynthesis. Leaf structure. Leaves come in all shapes and sizes, depending on the environment they have evolved in. The green of the leaf is the chlorophyll, the pigment that absorbs energy from the sun. Some plants have evolved with large leaves to maximize the amount of light they can absorb, often found under forest canopies, where they struggle for exposure to light. The cross-section of a leaf reveals its complex structure. The waxy cuticle surface on the outside protects the leaf and prevents excess water loss. The palisade cells at the upper side are packed with chloroplasts to maximize photosynthesis. On the lower half of the leaf are spongy mesophyll cells. These have air spaces between them to let gases flow. The stomata, tiny openings or pores, allow gases such as carbon dioxide and oxygen in or out during photosynthesis and respiration. Leaves are important for life to exist on Earth. They provide food and oxygen for almost every living organism on our planet.
Welcome back to the jungle!
What have you done?
Well, you inspired me, you know. We all know plants are amazing, and without photosynthesis, we wouldn't be here. So, of course, we have to show our appreciation to plants.
I'm so glad you found a new passion. Have a look in the leaves of your new friend.
I mean, they're good, aren't they? I mean, they feel a little bit waxy almost.
That's the waxy cuticle. It's on the surface of the leaf, and its main job is to prevent water loss, as the plant needs this water. It also protects the plant. See what happens when you pour water all over the leaf.
Oh, right, OK. Would you believe it? Got my watering can here. OK. Oh, so it's like staying on top of the leaf there. So that must be because of the waxy layer, the cuticle.
Precisely. Another very important part of the leaf are the palisade cells. These are full of chloroplast to absorb sunlight. Where on the leaf do you think the palisade cells are?
If they've got all those chloroplasts, then you'd need them to be near the top of the leaf to get that all-important sunshine.
That's right. Palisade cells are at the top of the leaves to maximise photosynthesis. This is one of the adaptations of leaves, so that they maximise the amount of light they absorb for photosynthesis. Another adaptation of the plant leaves is the waxy cuticle.
That is very cool.
There's more. If you were to zoom in really close to your leaves, you'd find loads of these tiny holes. These are called stomata.
Right, now, I'm not saying I don't trust you, Miss Armit, because I do, but I can't see it, so I can't be certain that those tiny holes are actually there.
This is something I can prove, though, with some nail varnish.
Oh, do you believe it? I've got some here, you know?
You're going to put some of that nail varnish on both sides of your leaf.
OK, right. Do this one here. So I'll put some on that side, put some on the other side, like that. So is this what people mean by a well-manicured plant?
Ha ha. Leave that one to dry. Okay. There's one already over there that's done. Gonna go and peel off some of the nail polish and tell me what you see. OK, right. It's my Blue Peter moment. Here's one I made earlier. OK, so some nail varnish here. I'm gonna pull it off. I mean, it looks like really bumpy. Oh, you were right. So my plant does have stomata. I told you. If you had a microscope, you would be able to see this even better. The stomata allows gases to flow in and out of the leaves.
Which is perfect for photosynthesis, as it takes in carbon dioxide and produces oxygen.
But plants don't just photosynthesize, they also respire.
What, respire like us?
Yeah. During the day and night, the plants are constantly respiring to release the energy in glucose, so they can live, just like you. It's only during the day that plants photosynthesize. Any idea why?
Because the sun is only out in the day?
Exactly.
Yes. OK, there is so much to know about plants, even just their leaves. So if you want to know more about the magnificent subject that is biology, head over to the BBC Bitesize website. And someone who loves plants so much they made it their career is horticulturalist Katie, who works at the Eden Project. Super cool place. It's down in Cornwall. Over to you, Katie. Show us some tropical plants, please.
My name's Katie. I work at the Eden Project and I'm a skilled horticulturist and I work in the outside gardens. A horticulturist is someone that looks after the plants. Through their life cycle, will feed them and water them, train them or prune them as they get too big. Leaves come in all different shapes and sizes. They all have the same basic setup. All leaves are used for photosynthesizing in a plant, and that feeds the plant. You've got the midrib and the veins and the edge and the leaf stem, which is called the petiole. Within a leaf, you have the vascular system, which is similar to our veins in our bodies, and it pumps food and water around the plant. Different plants from different parts of the world have different adaptations to help them conserve water.
This plant is really well adapted to the Mediterranean climate, where it doesn't rain very much, so it's got these leaf hairs which helps capture that water. All the leaves in the rainforest are really, really big. They're trying to utilise the sunlight, which there's very little of because there's so many plants everywhere. You can see here there's holes in the leaf, and with the lots of air movement from the waterfall, these holes stop the leaf from ripping.
We are big into Shakespeare this week. One of the reasons we study him 400 years on is because he writes about things that are as relevant now as they were in the past. Take today's big read extract from Shakespeare's play The Tempest. It's about families, betrayal, love and forgiveness. I mean, it's basically an episode of EastEnders, isn't it? Let me bring you up to speed. Years ago, Prospero, the rightful Duke of Milan, was usurped by his brother Antonio and cast adrift in a boat with his daughter Miranda. They survived and have lived on an island for 12 years with a spirit called Ariel, whom Prospero freed from a tree. Prospero's a magician, and the play starts with a tempest or sea storm conjured by his magic, which causes a shipwreck. One of the people shipwrecked is none other than Prospero's brother Antonio, the man who left him to die. Oof. In this extract from Act 3, Scene 3, read by the magnificent Jamie Wilkes, Ariel the spirit is terrifying the survivors of the shipwreck by revealing that he knows about their past treatment of Prospero and his daughter. Take it away, Jamie.
You are 3 men of sin, whom destiny that hath to instrument this lower world and what is in it, the never surfeited sea hath caused to belch up you, and on this island, where man doth not inhabit, you amongst men being most unfit to live, I have made you mad, and even with such like valour, men hang and drown their proper selves. You fools! I and my fellows are ministers of fate. The elements of whom your swords are tempered may as well wound the loud winds, or with bemocked at stabs kill the still closing waters, as diminish one dowl that's in my plume. My fellow ministers are like invulnerable. If you could hurt, your swords are now too massy for your strengths, and will not be uplifted. But remember, for that's my business to you, that you three from Milan did supplant good Prospero, exposed unto the sea which hath requited him and his innocent child, for which foul deed the powers, delaying, not forgetting, have incensed the seas and shores, yea, all the creatures against your peace. Thee of thy son Alonso they have bereft, and do pronounce by me lingering perdition. Worse than any death can be at once, shall step by step attend you and your ways, whose wraths to guard you from, which here, in this most desolate isle, else falls upon your heads, is nothing but heart's sorrows, and a clear life ensuing.
Scary stuff, and helping us make sense of Shakespeare is our excellent teacher, Miss Lonsdale. So, Miss, Ariel is this spirit that can change his shape. What does he actually look like in this scene?
Well, in this scene, Ariel is in the form of a harpy, a mythical creature or monster, half woman, half bird. He's out to terrify the shipwreck survivors.
Ariel's not mincing his words either. This is a proper telling off, describing the survivors as three men of sin, being most unfit to live, and he talks about their foul deed.
Yeah, but Ariel knows these men sent Prospero and his daughter Miranda to their potential deaths, and he's also being used by his master, Prospero, who wants to punish his brother and his friends.
Where's Prospero hiding?
Well, he's invisible in this scene and he's watching the action unfold. He gets Ariel to conjure a lovely banquet for the shipwreck survivors. Then, just as they're about to eat it, Ariel appears, terrifies them, and the banquet disappears.
Well, revenge is a dish best served cold, they say. Oh, pardon me. Talking of belching, there is some great imagery going on in this speech, isn't there? Ariel talks about the sea and belch up you. He's basically saying the sea has sicked up the survivors. Ugh.
Yeah, that's right. And then he ups the scare factor, describing the fate of the shipwreck survivors, as he tells them the island is uninhabited, and on this island where man doth not inhabit. So they're utterly alone, and the men's swords can't hurt Ariel and his fellows, whoever they may be. He says, "You fools, I and my fellows are ministers of fate. The elements of whom your swords are tempered may as well wound the loud winds, or with bemocked at stabs kill the still closing waters."
Bravo! Well, we're going to be talking more about The Tempest and Ariel in English up next. But if you can't wait, you can find lots more about the Bard on the BBC Bitesize website, along with daily lessons on every subject. And if you're finding anything tricky, search BBC Bitesize Teacher Talks for explanations from the experts. Thanks for staying with us, Miss Lonsdale. Now, what else are we going to look at with The Tempest today?
Well, I'd like to take a look at the staging of the play in this scene. The Tempest is still being performed around the world after 400 years. Pulling off special effects like making the banquet disappear or Ariel's arrival on stage is not easy when you've got a live audience to convince. So it's a big decision for a director.
Love that. Let's get into it.
So first of all, there is thunder and lightning. Then Ariel appears and makes his speech. The men see a banquet, and then once Ariel claps his wings, the banquet disappears. So how would you stage that, Kel, so that the audience believe what's happening?
Well, I think maybe I might have aerial on wires so that it can appear floating in the air, and then the thunder and lightning happen just before he appears, so the lack of light would allow the actor playing aerial to be lowered into position without the audience really noticing. Another way would be to pre-record Ariel's speech and then project an image of Ariel on stage so he could appear anywhere.
Very clever, I like it. And in Shakespeare's time, thunder could have been made by rolling cannonballs across the space above the stage, known as the heavens. And lightning might have been firecrackers or a prop lowered down from the roof in the shape of a lightning bolt.
That is so cool. Whereas now we have recorded sound effects and lightning that can be played in live as the action is taking place on stage, a bit like this.
Exactly. So how would you make the banquet appear and disappear?
It's a bit more of a tricky one. A stunt table, perhaps, like a magician has when he makes his assistant disappear. So the top rotates when Ariel claps his wings and the stuck-on plastic food disappears inside the table.
You'll have to have a bit of a lighting change if you use a rotating table, as the audience would see the top rotate. But if you had another clap of thunder, then you could play with the lights and that would distract the audience's eye from the table and the special effect. How do you think it would have been staged in Shakespeare's day?
Oh, well, I know there was often very little scenery or props, but maybe the table and banquet disappeared into a trap door, and perhaps that's where Ariel pops up from.
Shakespearean theatres had trapdoors, so that is entirely possible. This scene has one of Shakespeare's rare stage directions. He talks about a quaint device. So that is clearly some sort of theatrical device to deceive the audience and magic the food away. It could well be a trapdoor.
That is super cool. Now, I love thinking how I would stage it. Obviously, it is a lot easier with television or film because I can make these disappear just like this. Voila.
Well, that's fantastic, but let's see what you've learnt. It's quiz time.
Down to business, the serious stuff.
Question 1. What is a tempest?
A tempest is a storm that happens at sea.
Correct. Question 2. Who is Ariel?
Ariel is the spirit.
Yeah, that's right. Number 3. Which character does Ariel serve?
Prospero.
Correct. Question 4. In this scene, how does Ariel appear?
As like a fairy, like a harpy.
Harpy, yeah. Question 5. What disappears?
The banquet.
Correct. 5 out of 5.
Yes. Good teacher. I think I did better than I thought, to be honest with you. Now, sadly, that is all the Shakespeare we have time for with Miss Lonsdale. But if you want to check out more, you can head over to the Bitesize website. There are loads of lessons in all the plays too, and you can check out the Teacher Talks if you are finding it a bit tricky. You just go to search BBC Bitesize Teacher Talks. Welcome to a jam-packed lesson about geography. Today, my friends, we are looking at population. Now, population is the total number of people in the world, currently around 7.8 billion of us. Population distribution describes the way that people are spread out over a given area, and population density is the number of people living in an area. This can be affected by many things, such as economic development. Countries where the economy is less developed are called LICs, low-income countries, or LEDCs, lower economically developed countries. Countries with a stronger economy are called HICs, high-income countries, or MEDCs, more economically developed countries. Let's see how population density and distribution has changed over time in these two types of country.
Until the Industrial Revolution, only 1 in 5 of us lived in settlements of more than 10,000 people. But in the middle of the 19th century, cities in Europe and North America saw a massive influx of people. Between 1950 and 2000, it was the turn of the less economically developed countries. Their urban population more than doubled. Today, MEDC cities are growing more slowly than LEDC cities, but they're not problem-free. They consume 10 times more per head and produce up to 4 times as much rubbish as equivalent cities in LEDCs.
If you want to know more about population in geography, head on over to the BBC Bitesize website where there's tons more fascinating facts. Well, my amazing 12 to 13-year-old friends, that is all we have time for. Now, I hope your brains are brimming with bite-sized knowledge like mine, and if you want to expand your learning even more, you know where to go. The Bitesize website is packed with lessons, videos and study aids. Now, there's only one more thing left to do, and that's to hear from our resident doctor who has some great tips to keep you well. Take it away, Doc.
We know you're spending a lot of time indoors at the moment, so make the most of your daily allowance, get out there and get active. Exercise releases endorphins, which make us feel good and makes us happy and smile. So, what are you waiting for? Give it a go.
Hello to all you 13 to 14-year-olds. My name is Kel Spellman, and it is such a treat to be with you on Bitesize Daily. This is the show that gives you a helping hand with your homework, and you'll be pleased to know I've been through my extensive contacts book to bring you super celebs, top teachers, and a whole stack of fabulous topics to talk about. Excuse me. Stormzy, how are you, mate? I've told you, we're full up this week. Nothing I can do. It's like herding cats, I tell you. It's Study Tips Tuesday, and YouTuber Jack Edwards reviews revision techniques. We'll be learning about chromosomes, DNA and genes in biology. Then tragedy strikes in English, as we'll be looking at the character of Ophelia from Shakespeare's play Hamlet. Our pick of the day subject is geography, where we'll be testing your map skills. Plus, we hear more from the bard, or at least someone who is very familiar with his work, in the Big Read.
I'm Natalie Simpson, and today I will be reciting from Hamlet. So don't miss it.
It's Study Tips Tuesday, and we've got YouTuber Jack Edwards sharing some of his best advice on revision so you can figure out what works for you. Now, this could really help out with working from home. Take it away, Jack. Sort this procrastination nation out, please.
Find the revision that works for you. You know, every technique will work for someone. It might not be you, and that's okay. You can get better at revising and being productive by just testing out lots of different techniques and tips and hacks that other people might use, learning from your friends, learning from what your teacher tells you, learning from online resources. Everyone will give you a different tip. Give them a go, work out what works for you, and then run with it.
I used to sing along my German oral exam to like songs that were in the charts at the time.
Ah,
so
that's
like,
very clever.
Guten Tag.
Should have released those.
Ich bin schwimmen gehen. That's the only bit of German I remember from GCSE German. Ich bin schwimmen gehen. I think that means I've been swimming.
I'm not going to correct you, but I reckon that could be number one.
Right, now it's time to get your scientific mind into gear for some epic biology with the legend that is Miss Armit. Miss Armit, what can we look forward to today?
Hello, today we're going to be looking at genetics, the things that makes you, you.
Oh, nice. What does make up me? I'm really interested to know.
Well, you are you and I am me, thanks to a genetic code found in trillions of our cells.
Are we talking about DNA?
We are. Deoxyribonucleic acid, or DNA, is the name for the genetic code found in every living thing.
Oh, and you find DNA in the nucleus of the majority of our cells, is that right?
Yes, we inherit genetic code from both of our parents, which is why you can look like both of them.
Right, time to get up close and personal with some DNA. Let's see what's what.
DNA, genes and chromosomes. DNA is the genetic code found in the nucleus of almost every cell. Each nucleus contains chromosomes, which are made from DNA. They contain all the cellular information that makes you unique. Sections of your DNA are called genes, which give us our different characteristics. We inherit these genes from our parents. You get 23 chromosomes from your mum and 23 from your dad. This is why children look similar to their parents. A genome is one complete set of an organism's DNA and is found in most of its cells. DNA is found in all living organisms on our planet, and all life on Earth has DNA with the same double helix structure.
Wow, human body is amazing. It blows my mind.
We are pretty amazing. DNA is arranged into genes. Genes are responsible for determining simple characteristics like eye colour, and they can interact together for more complex ones, like the structure of your face.
Would you believe it? There was me thinking that genes were just something you put on in the morning.
As we inherit genes from our parents, we have alleles, which are different variations of the same gene, and they come in pairs. Some alleles come from your biological father, and some from your biological mother. Genes are arranged into chromosomes. thread-like structures, which are made of tightly coiled DNA.
And they look like strange X's almost.
Yeah. How many pairs of chromosomes do we have?
Oh, 23. So 46 chromosomes in total.
Spot on. Yes. And don't forget, other animals and plants can have different numbers of chromosomes. So a dolphin can have 44, but they're all made of the same structure of DNA. It's time for a little quiz.
Ready for it, Miss Armit. Me and all my 23 pairs of chromosomes are ready for this.
Fab. Here I have a few things that make up our genetics. Can you order them from smallest to biggest?
Can I? Watch this. So DNA, we'll start there. That would be the smallest, so we'll leave that one at the top. And that's in the nucleus of our cells. So would you say then gene is next?
Yeah.
Is that right? OK. Which would then be... Move the nucleus down because it's not you yet. Then I'm going to say next would be chromosomes. After genes, that's the next. And then the biggest out of these would be the nucleus, there at the bottom.
That's perfect. What about if I throw the word genome into the mix?
Well, funny you should ask that, because the genome is a complete copy of an organism's whole DNA, so that would be the biggest, so I would put it at the bottom there.
Brilliant.
So if we have 23 pairs of chromosomes and a whole entire genome to define us, why do people say that we are so closely related to other animals?
It's a great question. DNA isn't unique to humans. All life on Earth has the same DNA structure.
So our DNA structure is the same as a banana?
Yep. Weird, isn't it? Just like us, bananas would have inherited their DNA from an older generation too.
That's very appealing. Thank you. But bananas are just like us?
Not exactly. Plants are very different from animals, but that's for another lesson.
Oof, OK. I thought my head was going to explode with all that kind of knowledge.
If you want a tasty demo, you can always try and make a strand of DNA at home using sweets. Just like this one that I made earlier.
Oh, that looks very tasty, Miss Armit.
It is, but if you want one, you'll have to make your own, because this one's all mine.
Oh, I think I'm up for the challenge. And why don't you guys have a go at home too? Now, if you want to know more about genes and DNA, head on over to the BBC Bitesize website, where there is an abundance of genetic details. But for now, let's see what Professor Brian Cox is up to with chromosomes.
It's here in Cambridge that Francis Crick and James Watson discovered the structure of DNA, the molecule that passes biological information from generation to generation. And it came from a branch of physics called X-ray crystallography.
All this week, we're looking at the literary genius that is Mr. William Shakespeare. In today's big read, it's the turn of his famous tragedy, Hamlet. Hamlet is a prince and lives in Denmark. His father has just died, and his mother Gertrude has married his uncle Claudius very soon after. Awkward. Hamlet is still in mourning for his father and has just been told by his father's ghost that he was murdered, and he wants Hamlet to take revenge for his death. Hamlet suspects his uncle Claudius and pretends to be mad in order to investigate. As a consequence, he starts to act very strangely, especially to his girlfriend Ophelia, who has no idea what is going on and is heartbroken by his behaviour and treatment of her, as we'll hear in this extract from Act 3, Scene 1, read by the notoriously good Natalie Simpson.
Oh, what a noble mind is here o'erthrown. The courtiers, soldiers, scholars, eye, tongue, sword. The expectancy and rose of the fair state, the glass of fashion and the mould of form, the observed of all observers. Quite down. And I, of ladies most deject and wretched, that sucked the honey of his music vows, now see what noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled out of tune and harsh, that unmatched form and feature of blown youth, blasted with ecstasy. Oh, woe is me, to have seen what I have seen. See what I see.
What on earth is going on? Well, thankfully here to explain is the extraordinarily talented English teacher that is Miss Lonsdale. So, Miss, let me get this right. Before the speech we've just heard, Ophelia's boyfriend, Hamlet, has shouted at her and told her to get thee to a nunnery. Bit harsh.
Yeah, Ophelia is distraught by the change in him, but she's caught between a rock and a hard place. Her father, Polonius, has warned her off Hamlet and made her hand back his love letters to her. She thinks Hamlet has been driven mad because she's rejected him.
Isn't his reaction a little bit OTT?
Yeah, it's an over-the-top reaction, but by this stage, Hamlet has got a lot on his plate. His dad's been murdered. He doesn't know who to trust. His girlfriend has just given him back his love letters. He realises someone else is listening into their conversation. And to top it off, he thinks she is complicit in all of this, so he's really angry and abrupt with her.
He's acting mad too.
Yeah, he's putting on an act of madness as a disguise so that he can try to investigate whether his father has been murdered. If people think he's mad, then he can get away with more.
But Ophelia doesn't know this.
Exactly. She thinks he's actually gone mad when she says his noble mind is here overthrown.
Poor Ophelia. Hamlet, mate, come on, relationships, all about communication. We know this. Now, I'm excited to find out more, so stay with us as we'll be going into this in a little bit more depth next in English. And if you want to read the whole play, then there are tons of online libraries and audiobooks for you to read or hear.
What are you doing?
I'm playing Hamlet. I'm contemplating Yorick. He's my dead jester.
We're not doing that bit of Hamlet. We're talking about Hamlet's madness, his girlfriend Ophelia, and looking at how Shakespeare conveys emotion through language.
Sorry, Yorick. It's OK. He's all right. Never felt a thing. Ophelia, so what does she mean by this? The courtiers, soldiers, scholars, eye, tongue, sword, the expectancy and rose of the fair state.
So here we can see that Ophelia is describing what a great role model Hamlet once was. Strong, admirable, polite, a scholar. A beautiful and well-educated prince, destined to be king, and how awful it is that he now seems to have gone mad.
She seems really upset, doesn't she?
Yeah, and we can tell this from the imagery Shakespeare uses. An eye of ladies most deject and wretched, that sucked the honey of his music vows, now see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled, out of tune and harsh, that unmatched form and feature of blown youth blasted with ecstasy. So what she's saying is that she feels wretched. She believed his loving words and says that she had sucked the honey of his music vows. She uses an analogy that his madness is like sweet bells jangled out of tune. She means his mind is disordered, out of tune, off key. And the word harsh, this has a double meaning. Not only is Shakespeare using it to describe how the bells sound in the analogy, but also that Hamlet is being harsh to Ophelia as well. He's being cruel. Also notice the plosives that he uses.
Yeah, they are the p and the b sounds.
That's it, and they make a small explosion when you say them. Look at blown and blasted. We get the sense of Ophelia imploding.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. Hamlet has been really horrible to her, and we know he has good reasons. He's acting mad, but she doesn't know that, does she?
No. She's a pawn in all of the events that are unfolding. She knows her father was listening into the conversation when she gave Hamlet his letters back, and she probably thought Hamlet would just be upset by this and profess his love to her.
Yeah, she got a nasty shock, though.
Yeah, so instead of him being nice or upset, she was shocked and surprised that he started shouting at her, calling her names and acting as if he were mad.
And then by the end, she says, "Oh, woe is me, to have seen what I have seen, see what I see."
She can't believe her eyes. He has gone from a loving boyfriend to someone who is bitter and critical of her and wants her to leave the castle.
So for Ophelia, it doesn't bode well for the future, does it?
No, but you'll have to read the rest to find out what happens.
I mean, is it going to get any better for her?
I couldn't possibly say, but remember, it is a tragedy.
OK, well, that's all we have time for now. But if you want to learn more about Hamlet, Ophelia and Shakespeare, there are lots of study aids on BBC Bitesize, as well as lessons on other Shakespeare plays as well, and top teacher talks to help with all those tricky bits. Just search BBC Bitesize Teacher Talks. OK, it's geography time, and today we are going back to basics with map skills. Yes, put that GPS mobile phone away. You're going to thank me when you've run out of battery and you're stuck in the middle of nowhere, but then you remember, I'm so glad that I packed a map and a compass in your bag so you could navigate your way home, and I was there to help you. Now, you are most welcome. Let's have a look at how to use maps, and in particular, how contour lines can help you.
When you're planning a route, you need to work out how strenuous it's going to be. Now, obviously, distance is one thing to consider. The other thing is, how many ups and downs are there going to be? How tough is it going to feel to walk the route? And that's where you need to look for contour lines.
Maps are often full of these lines, which connect points of equal height. The height is marked on as a number, which indicates meters above sea level. Cross contour lines, and it means you're going up or downhill, and the closer they are together, the steeper the gradient. Contour lines allow us to read the landscape from a map.
When it comes to this magnificent view, it's really clearly marked on the map. When contour lines are close together, it tells us it's a steep slope. So we see these lines very close together going all the way around the valley, and that's exactly what we have in front of us. This is how it looks on the ground.
Contours can reveal distinctive features that allow us to spot where we are on a route. For example, on a walk along this disused railway track, hikers will spot an unusual section of hillside where a stream has cut into the ground. Look at the map, and the contour lines reflect what's visible on the ground. And it's obvious from the map, because of how close the lines are together, that the path heading up the side of this feature runs steeply uphill.
So you've got to look at contours to read the landscape and work out just how tough your route is going to be.
There are so many things to know about maps. Take contour lines that join places of the same height. The closer the lines are together, the steeper the incline. Now, the further apart that the lines are, the smaller the incline. Maps are also scaled down so that massive places can fit onto one piece of paper. So, here's the scale. A map with a scale of 1 to 25,000 means 1 centimetre on the map is equal to 25,000 centimetres on the ground. Now, that is a big space. Now, on maps like this, you would look for something called grid north, and then you would place a compass and line it up. Now, I bet you didn't know there's more than one north, which is essential when map reading. Grid north shows north on the map, and then the magnetic north is the direction that a compass needle points to as it aligns with the Earth's magnetic field. There is a slight difference between the two, and that's because the magnetic north moves. In the UK, this difference is as much as 8 degrees and varies across the country. To be absolutely accurate, I'd need to adjust the compass a tiny bit on this map by maybe just under 1 degree west. Then I would be facing 100% north. And on my compass, I know this is north, and that's east, south, and then west. Find a compass at home and then give it a go, and there's even more information on the BBC Bitesize website. I'm going to go this way, which I think is north. Thank you to all you awesome 13 and 14-year-olds who joined me today. Now, if you can't get enough of Bitesize and you want more, then head on over to the website where there's tons to get stuck into. And don't forget to tweet us. Remember the hashtag BBC Bitesize Daily and let us know how you're getting on. Oof, gotta say, all that learning is making me sleepy. Over to you, Doc. I'm off for a nap.
We're all super proud of you for staying on top of your studies at the moment. It's fantastic, and I hope you're proud of yourselves as well. But don't forget to schedule in a break to keep active. This will help you stay physically well, but also it gives your mind a break away from your studies. It's really important to have that balance. So make sure you're scheduling time in your day to keep active, staying well, staying healthy, and it'll help your studies at the same time.
The pressure is on.
I'm kind of winging it.
It's like go big or go home.
This is going to be a statement, isn't it?
What are you going to do about that? Just because something's ugly, Alan, doesn't mean you just get rid of it.
Don't look at me like that. Interior Design Masters with me, Alan Carr, continues tonight at 8 on BBC Two and iPlayer.
Star-crossed lovers on BBC Two. Shakespeare Week continues for lockdown learning with the Royal Shakespeare Company's Romeo and Juliet.